how are the days of Noah distinct? That when Jesus was talking about that, they would, the first century Jew would have understood. Oh, those distinctions are what we need to be looking for. And what are we looking for now that would harken to that?
Just it goes to the heart of the Bible and why you need to understand all of it. And it goes to the heart of how consistent the Bible is in terms of the language and what it says and when it says it. So you're getting that sign as the days of Noah, and I have a chapter of this in the book, follows another overarching sign for the fig tree generation, that this generation will not pass until all these things have taken place. So two overarching signs after all the individual signs for the chronology of the last 7 years. So Jesus says it'll be like the days of Noah. And this is a Greek manuscript that's being translated into English in the New Testament versus the Hebrew coming into English in the Old Testament. But those words are identical to what is said about Noah in Genesis 9:29. It was, and the days of Noah were 600 years before the flood and 350 years after the flood. So it's going to be like the days of Noah. It's more than just the people weren't prepared for the flood.
Right.
It's more than they just. It's more than they were just carrying on without any concern. That's part of it.
Hedonistic lifestyle.
And the book says, and the flood story says also that the whole world was corrupt.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the Hebrew word shakath, which means decayed, destroyed, degraded.
Interesting.
So when we're talking about the whole world is corrupt, it's more than just violence, right? That means the whole plant genome is corrupted. The whole animal genome and all but the 8 is likely corrupted.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
CRISPR.
And so that's why God calls the animals to the ark, because he knows the ones that are pure.
Yeah.
To restart, right? Everything starts to make sense. So, okay, if we understand that, and we understand that Jesus is saying it's going to be like the days of Noah, and we get those exact same words in Genesis 9, and that he lived 600 years before the flood, we better learn about everything before the flood, and then what's relevant after the flood, because that's part of the reference that Jesus is making.
Yeah.
And when we get into that, we learn that in Genesis 6, where the flood story begins, the first 4 verses are the creation of the giants.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And the whole world becomes corrupted because of what's going on with these giants.
Yeah.
And so we need to learn about that. We need to learn about who the sons of God are, why were they created, and how did they destroy the antediluvian world, and why was it led into the first apocalypse? Because this apocalypse that's coming is by fire, right? And we need to learn about it, and that's why in the book of Luke, which is what I talked about earlier, I like to overlay Mark and Luke with the extra details. Luke will talk about not only the days of Noah, but immediately transition into also the days of Lot and Sodom and Gomorrah, which was destroyed by the flood. So if you just read the one without reading both, you don't get the whole story. And that's important because that's 600 years before the flood and 350 years after the flood. And what was really going on at Sodom and Gomorrah, that we need to learn about that, and that is the transition into this age that will be destroyed or almost destroyed by fire. So we need to learn all about those things. And again, it's just one of the things that I like to also ask people to do about prophecy is don't leave out the inconvenient passages. You have to include you have to include them all.
Good point.
Yeah.
And they have to fit like a glove.
Yeah. You can't. Glove's no good with a couple fingers missing. Then it's just a fashion statement at that point.
Is that a 6-fingered glove?
Yeah, he had 6 fingers on his right hand. Yeah,
not on my end, but
Me neither. Thank goodness.
Let me check for double rows of teeth.